A stranger's last hope. Marcus Chen wiped the sweat from his forehead as he stepped off the transport shuttle onto Station Artemis 7. The remote outpost floated at the edge of known space, a place where people came when they had nowhere else to go. His boots hit the metal deck with a hollow thud that echoed his empty stomach. 3 months of travel, 2 failed job prospects, and exactly 17 credits left to his name. He was running out of options fast. The station was smaller than he'd imagined. Narrow corridors lined with dim lights, rusted pipes hissing steam, and the constant hum of life support systems struggling to maintain atmosphere. This wasn't the glamorous frontier life the recruitment posters had promised back on Earth. This was survival at its most basic level. Marcus wandered through the market district, scanning the shabby storefronts for any sign of work. Most were closed or pressed. The few that remained open had owners who looked away when he approached. Humans weren't exactly popular out here, not after the trade disputes and broken treaties. He was about to give up when he spotted it, a repair shop tucked between 2 abandoned warehouses, its sign flickering but still lit. The silver-skinned widow. The woman standing outside the shop made Marcus stop in his tracks. She was tall, perhaps 6 feet, with skin that shimmered like polished silver in a station's artificial light. Her hair flowed like liquid mercury down her back, and her eyes glowed a soft golden color that seemed to see right through him. She was clearly Lunari, one of the moon-dwelling species from the Andromeda sector. Beautiful, but with an edge of sadness that hung around her like a cloak. "Can I help you, human?" Her voice was musical but cautious. Marcus straightened, trying to look more capable than desperate. "I'm looking for work. Any work. I'm good with my hands, fast learner, and I don't eat much." The woman studied him for a long moment. Her golden eyes traveled from his worn boots to his faded jacket, taking in every detail. "What's your name?" "Marcus Chen. Former mechanic from Earth. I've worked on everything from atmospheric processors to quantum drives." "Zara Moonwhisper," she replied, but didn't extend a hand. "I run this repair shop. Business has been slow." Marcus felt his hope deflating. "I understand. Thank you for your time." "Wait." Zara's voice stopped him mid-turn. "I didn't say no." The unexpected proposal. Marcus turned back, confused. Zara was looking at him differently now, as if calculating something complex in her mind. She glanced toward the shop's entrance, then back at him. "I don't need an employee," she said slowly. "My business barely supports my son and me. What I need is something else entirely." She paused, and Marcus saw vulnerability flash across her face. "I need a father figure for my boy. Someone to guide him, teach him, keep him from making terrible mistakes." Marcus blinked. "I'm sorry, what?" "My son, Kyle. He's 12 cycle old, about 14 in Earth years. His father died in the mining accident 2 years ago." Zara's voice remained steady, but her eyes betrayed deep pain. "Since then, Kyle has been angry, lost. He's falling in with the wrong crowd. The gangs that run the lower decks. I can provide for him, but I can't give him what he needs most." "And you think I can?" Marcus asked, bewildered. "You just met me 30 seconds ago." Zara stepped closer. "I've learned to read people quickly out here. You're desperate but honest. Tired but not broken. And you have kind eyes. The kind that have seen hardship but haven't turned cruel." She crossed her arms. "Besides, you're human. Kale has been fascinated by Earth culture since he was little. His father used to tell him stories about human explorers and pioneers." Marcus shook his head. "Lady, I appreciate the unusual offer, but I'm not qualified to raise anyone's kid. I can barely take care of myself." "That's exactly why you're perfect," Zara insisted. "You understand struggle. You won't feed him empty promises or false hope. You'll teach him real survival, real strength." She moved to the shop entrance. "Come inside. Meet him. If you still want to walk away after that, I won't stop you." Meeting Kyle. The shop interior was cramped but organized. Tools hung on magnetic strips along the walls, and partially disassembled equipment covered every available surface. In the back corner, hunched over a datapad, sat a young Lunari boy, with the same silver skin as his mother, but darker hair that fell across his face. "Kyle," Zara called softly. "We have a visitor." The boy looked up, and Marcus saw immediately what Zara meant. Kale's golden eyes were hard, defensive, ringed with the kind of pain that aged people before their time. A fresh bruise marked his left cheek, and his knuckles were scraped raw. "Another one of your charity cases?" Kale muttered, returning to his datapad. "Show respect," Zara said firmly. "This is Marcus. He's from Earth." That got the boy's attention. Kale's eyes lifted again, curiosity breaking through his hostile exterior. "Really? You've been to Earth?" Marcus nodded, moving closer slowly, like approaching a wounded animal. "Born and raised in New Shanghai. Worked the docks there before heading out to the colonies." "Is it true humans can survive almost anywhere?" Kale asked, his voice losing some of its edge. "That you adapt to any environment?" "We're stubborn, if that's what you mean," Marcus replied with a small smile. "We don't give up easy, even when we probably should." Kale studied him with an intensity that reminded Marcus of Zara. "What are you doing here?" "Looking for work. Your mother seems to think I might be useful." Marcus glanced at Zara, who watched the exchange intently. "Though I'm starting to think she has something more complicated in mind. She wants you to fix me," Kale said bitterly. "Like I'm one of her broken machines." "You're not broken," Marcus said quietly. "You're hurting. There's a difference." The words hung in the air. Kale's defensive posture softened slightly, and for a moment, Marcus saw beneath the anger to the scared, grieving kid underneath. "The deal." Zara broke the silence. "Here's my proposal, Marcus. You work in the shop, help me with repairs. I'll pay you fair wages, nothing special, but enough for food and a room in the residential sector. In exchange, you spend time with Kale. Teach him what you know. Keep him occupied and away from the gangs. And if I say no," Marcus asked, "then you leave, and I'll find someone else eventually." Zara's voice was matter-of-fact, but her eyes pleaded differently. "But I don't think you will say no. I think you need this as much as we do." Marcus looked at Kale, who was pretending not to care, but clearly hanging on every word. He thought about his empty pockets, his failed plans, the loneliness that had followed him across star systems. Maybe Zara was right. Maybe they all needed this. 1 month trial, Marcus said finally. We see how it goes. If Kale doesn't want me around, or if this doesn't work, I walk. No hard feelings. Zara's face lit up with relief. Agreed. Kale stood abruptly. I didn't agree to anything. I don't need a replacement father. Good, Marcus replied calmly. Because I'm not trying to replace anyone. Your father sounds like he was someone special. I'm just a guy who might have some things to teach you, if you're willing to learn. Kale stared at him for a long moment, then shrugged. Whatever. Just stay out of my way. As the boy stormed out of the shop, Marcus wondered what exactly he'd just agreed to. Zara placed a hand on his shoulder, and the cool touch of her silver skin sent an unexpected warmth through him. Thank you, she whispered. You have no idea what this means. Marcus watched Kale disappear into the station's corridors. I hope you're right about this. So do I, Zara admitted. So do I. First steps into unknown territory. The first week was harder than Marcus anticipated. Kale avoided him at every opportunity, speaking only in grunts and one-word answers. When Marcus tried to show him basic repair techniques, the boy would watch for a few minutes before finding an excuse to leave. When Marcus suggested they grab food together, Kale claimed he wasn't hungry. The wall between them seemed impenetrable. Marcus spent his days working alongside Zara, learning the peculiarities of alien technology and the shop's regular customers. Most were outcasts like them, people trying to survive on the station's fringes. Zara was respected but kept at a distance. Her beauty intimidated some, her widowed status made others cautious, and her fierce protectiveness of Kale kept most people away entirely. In the evenings, Marcus would return to his small room and wonder if he'd made a mistake. He wasn't a father. He'd never even had younger siblings. What made him think he could help a grieving alien teenager? But on the 8th day, everything changed. Marcus was closing up the shop when he heard shouting from the alley behind the building. He recognized Kale's voice immediately, raised in anger and fear. Without thinking, Marcus grabbed a heavy wrench, then ran toward the sound. The gang threat. In the dim alley, Marcus found Kale surrounded by 3 older teens, 2 Lunari and 1 hulking Drax with scales like armor plating. They had Kale backed against the wall, and the lead Lunari, a kid with chrome implants along his jaw, was holding some kind of illegal energy blade. "Last chance, little moon boy," Chromejaw snarled. "Join us, or we make sure your mother's shop has an unfortunate accident." "Leave him alone," Marcus said, his voice carrying authority he didn't feel. The three turned, and Chromejaw laughed. "Oh look, the human pet. This doesn't concern you, Earth trash." "He's with me. That makes it my concern." Marcus raised the wrench. "Walk away now, and we forget this happened." The Drax cracked his knuckles, each pop sounding like gunshots. "You really want to do this, human?" Marcus didn't. Every survival instinct screamed at him to back down. These weren't his people, not his fight, not his problem. But Benny saw Kale's face, saw the hope and fear mixed together, and he thought about Zara trusting him with her son. He thought about all the times he'd walked away from fights that mattered. Not this time. "Yeah," Marcus said, settling into a fighting stance. "I already do." What happened next was fast and brutal. The Drax charged first, and Marcus dodged, using the alien's momentum against him to send him crashing into a waste container. Chromejaw came next, blade flashing. Marcus blocked with the wrench, the weapons sparking on contact. He kicked out, catching the punk in the knee, and followed with an elbow to the face that sent chrome flying. The third attacker ran. Marcus stood over the groaning gang members, breathing hard. "Stay away from the kid, stay away from the shop. Or next time I won't be so gentle." As the two limped away, Marcus turned to find Kale staring at him with wide eyes. For the first time since they'd met, the boy's defensive walls had cracked. "You didn't have to do that," Kale said quietly. "Yes, I did." Marcus dropped the wrench, his hands shaking with adrenaline. "You're under my protection now. That's what this arrangement means." Something shifted in Kale's expression. Not quite trust, but maybe the beginning of it. "They'll come back with more numbers." "Probably," Marcus agreed. "Which means we need to be ready. And that means training starts tomorrow, whether you like it or not." For the first time, Kale smiled. "Maybe you're not completely useless." "High praise," Marcus said dryly. "Come on, let's get back before your mother worries." As they walked back to the shop together, Marcus realized he'd just crossed a line he couldn't uncross. He was involved now, committed. Whatever came next, he'd see it through. He just hoped he'd live long enough to regret. The training begins. Dawn on Station Artemis 7 meant the overhead lights gradually brightening to simulate morning. Marcus woke Kale at what the boy considered an ungodly hour, dragging him to an abandoned cargo bay on the lower level. The space was vast and empty, perfect for what Marcus had in mind. "This is stupid," Kale complained, rubbing sleep from his golden eyes. "What are we even doing here?" "Surviving," Marcus replied simply. He'd spent the night planning, remembering his own training from years ago. Those gang members will be back. When they come, you need to be ready. Over the next 2 weeks, Marcus taught Kale everything he knew. Basic self-defense moves, adapted for the boy's Lunari physiology. How to read body language and anticipate attacks. How to use the environment as a weapon. But more importantly, he taught Kale discipline, patience, and when to fight versus when to run. Fighting isn't about being the strongest, Marcus explained during one session. It's about being smart. Your species is faster than humans, more flexible. Use that. Don't try to match someone's strength for strength. Kale absorbed the lessons hungrily. For the first time since his father's death, he had purpose and direction. Marcus noticed the change not just in the boy's fighting skills, but in his entire demeanor. Kale stood taller, spoke more confidently, and the hard edge in his eyes began to soften. Zara noticed too. She watched their training sessions from a distance, her expression unreadable. One evening, after Kale had gone to bed, she approached Marcus in the shop. "You're good with him," she said, her silver skin glowing in the dim light. "Better than I expected." Marcus was organizing tools, avoiding her gaze. "He's a good kid, just needed someone to pay attention." "He needed a father," Zara corrected gently. She moved closer, and Marcus caught that scent he'd noticed before. Something like moonflowers and metal. "And you're becoming that for him, whether you admit it or not." "I'm just keeping my end of the deal," Marcus said, but his voice lacked conviction. Zara's hand touched his shoulder, cool and electric. "Thank you, Marcus, for giving us scope again." The moment stretched between them, charged with possibilities. Marcus found himself drawn to her golden eyes, to the vulnerability she usually kept hidden. But before anything could happen, an alarm shattered the moment. The station's emergency sirens wailed. 3 short bursts, meaning security alert. Trouble in paradise. Marcus and Zara rushed outside to find chaos in the market district. Fires burned in several stalls, and people ran screaming. In the center of the destruction stood Chromejaw and at least a dozen gang members, all armed with makeshift weapons and energy blades. "Where's the widow?" Chromejaw shouted. "Where's the human who thinks he's tough?" Marcus felt his blood run cold. This wasn't just retaliation. It was a declaration of war. "Stay here," he told Zora. "Like hell," she replied, pulling a plasma pistol from beneath the counter. "This is my home too." They emerged together, and Chromejaw's face split into a vicious grin. "There you are. Thought you could embarrass us and walk away? Thought you could protect the Moon Boy?"
"This is between us," Marcus said calmly, though his heart hammered. "Leave everyone else out of it."
"Too late for that."
Chromejaw gestured, and 2 gang members moved towards Zara's shop. "We're going to burn everything you care about." "No," Kale's voice rang out. The boy appeared from the shop's side entrance, holding a homemade chalk stick Marcus had helped him build. "You want to fight? Fight me." "Kale, get back inside," Zara screamed. But the boy ignored her, his golden eyes blazing with determination. Marcus saw weeks of training come alive in Kale's stance, in the way he held his weapon, in the confidence radiating from him. Chromejaw laughed. "The little Moon Boy thinks he's brave now. Let's see how brave you are when we're done with you." The battle for home. What happened next would become legend on Station Artemis 7. Marcus moved first, charging the nearest gang members with a battle cry that startled even him. He fought with desperate fury, protecting not just himself, but the family he'd somehow acquired. Every punch, every block, every desperate maneuver was powered by the realization that he had something to lose now. Zara fought beside him, her plasma pistol dropping gang members with precise shots. She moved like liquid silver, graceful and deadly. Between bursts of fire, she protected the shop entrance, making sure no one got past her. And Kale, the boy, held his ground against opponents twice his size. He used everything Marcus taught him, turning his smaller frame and natural speed into advantages. When a jab grabbed for him, Kale slipped beneath the grass and delivered a shot to the alien's knee that sent him crashing down. The tide began to turn. Station security finally arrived, drawn by the commotion. Chromejaw realized he was losing and made a desperate lunge for Kale, blade raised high. Marcus saw it happening in slow motion, saw the killing blow about to fall on the boy who'd become like a son to him. He didn't think, he just moved. Marcus tackled Kale aside, taking the blade slash across his shoulder instead. Pain exploded through him, white-hot and overwhelming. He hit the ground hard, blood spreading across his shirt in a growing stain. "Marcus!" Both Zara and Kale screamed his name. Chromejaw stood over him, blade raised for a finishing blow. But before he could strike, Kale's shock stick caught him in the ribs. The gang leader went down twitching, and suddenly it was over. Security rounded up the gang members, and the market district fell silent except for the crackle of dying fires. Healing and truth. Marcus woke in the station's medical bay 3 hours later. His shoulder was wrapped in biomesh bandages, and pain medication made everything feel distant and floaty. The first thing he saw was Kale's face, hovering above him, tear-streaked and terrified. "You idiot," the boy choked out. "You almost died protecting me." "That's what fathers do," Marcus said without thinking. The words hung in the air, shocking them both. Kale's face crumbled, and suddenly he was sobbing, pressing his forehead against Marcus's good shoulder. "I miss my dad so much. I miss him every day. But you're here. You stayed when you could have left. You fought for me." Marcus's throat tightened. He wrapped his good arm around the boy, holding him close. "I'm not going anywhere, kid. You're stuck with me now." Zara appeared in the doorway, her silver skin gleaming with unshed tears. She moved to the bed, taking Marcus's hand in both of hers. "You saved my son's life." "He saved mine first," Marcus replied. "This family, you two, you gave me a reason to stop running." "Family," Zara repeated softly. "Is that what we are now?" Marcus looked at her, really looked at her, and saw past the alien beauty to the fierce, loving soul beneath. He saw a future he'd never imagined possible, one filled with challenges and joy in equal measure. "If you'll have me," he said quietly, "not as an employee or a temporary arrangement, but as someone who wants to stay, to build something real here." Zara's smile was radiant. She leaned forward and pressed her forehead to his, a Lunari gesture of deep affection. "We already chose you, Marcus Chen, the moment you walked through our door. We just waited for you to choose us back." Kale looked up, his tears drying.
"Does this mean you're really staying? Like forever?"
"Forever's a long time," Marcus said with a smile. "But yeah, kid, I'm staying. Someone has to keep you out of trouble."
"And someone has to keep you from being reckless," Kale shot back, his usual spirit returning. New beginning. 2 months later, Marcus stood in front of the newly renovated shop. The sign above the door now read Moon Whisper and Chen Repairs in both lunar script and English. Business was booming. Word had spread about the human who stood up to the gangs, and customers came from all over the station. But more importantly, Marcus had found something he'd been searching for his entire adult life without knowing it. He had a family. Kale had grown in confidence and skill. He still had hard days when he missed his father, but Marcus never tried to replace those memories. Instead, he created new ones, different but equally valuable. They trained together every morning, worked in the shop every afternoon, and in the evenings, they've shared stories about Earth and Lunari culture, building bridges between their worlds. Zara had become his partner in every sense. Their relationship grew naturally from respect to friendship to something deeper. She taught him about Lunari customs and philosophy. He shared human history and humor. They balanced each other perfectly, her cool logic complementing his warm impulsiveness. One night, under the simulated stars of the station's observation deck, Zara took Marcus's hand. "Do you ever regret it? Coming here instead of finding work somewhere more prosperous?" Marcus looked at Kale, who was trying to teach a group of younger kids the self-defense moves Marcus had taught him. He saw purpose in the boy's face, joy and confidence that hadn't been there before. "Not for a second," Marcus replied. "I came here looking for work. I found a home instead." "And a family," Zara added, leaning against him. "And a family," Marcus agreed. "The best kind, the one you choose." Kale ran over, excitement bright in his golden eyes. "Marcus, there's another human kid who just arrived on the station. His name's Tommy, and he's all alone. His parents died in a transport accident. Can we help him, please?" Marcus looked at Zara, who smiled knowingly. "What do you think?" she asked. Marcus remembered his own arrival, desperate and alone. He remembered a silver-skinned widow who saw potential in a stranger. He remembered a shocking proposal that changed everything. "Yeah," he said, ruffling Kale's hair, "we can help him. That's what families do." As they headed back toward the shop, Marcus reflected on the strange journey that brought him here. He'd asked an alien widow for work, expecting rejection or at best a simple job. Instead, she'd offered him something far more valuable. A chance to matter, to belong, to be needed. She'd said she needed a father, not a worker. At the time, it had shocked him. Now he understood. She'd seen what he couldn't see in himself, that he had more to offer than just labor. He had experience, wisdom, compassion, and the capacity to love a family that wasn't his by blood, but was his by choice. The station's lights dimmed to simulate evening, and Marcus walked home with his arm around Zara, and Kale bouncing excitedly beside them, already planning how to help the new arrival. This strange, wonderful, chosen family had saved him as much as he'd saved them. In the vast darkness of space, on a forgotten station at the edge of civilization, Marcus 10 had finally found where he belonged. Not through grand adventure or heroic deeds, but through the simple act of showing up, staying put, and choosing to love when it would have been easier to walk away. He'd come looking for work. He'd found purpose. And that, he realized, made all the difference in the universe. The end. "And someone has to keep you from being reckless," Kale shot back, his usual spirit returning. New beginning. 2 months later, Marcus stood in front of the newly renovated shop. The sign above the door now read Moon Whisper and Chen Repairs in both lunar script
and English. Business was booming. Word had spread about the human who stood up to the gangs, and customers came from all over the station. But more importantly, Marcus had found something he'd been searching for his entire adult life without knowing it. He had a family. Cale had grown in confidence and skill. He still had hard days when he missed his father, but Marcus never tried to replace those memories. Instead, he created new ones, different but equally valuable. They trained together every morning, worked in the shop every afternoon, and in the evenings, they've shared stories about Earth and Lunari culture, building bridges between their worlds. Zara had become his partner in every sense. Their relationship grew naturally from respect to friendship to something deeper. She taught him about Lunari customs and philosophy. He shared human history and humor. They balanced each other perfectly, her cool logic complementing his warm impulsiveness. One night, under the simulated stars of the station's observation deck, Zara took Marcus's hand. "Do you ever regret it? Coming here instead of finding work somewhere more prosperous?" Marcus looked at Cale, who was trying to teach a group of younger kids the self-defense moves Marcus had taught him. He saw purpose in the boy's face, joy and confidence that hadn't been there before. "Not for a second," Marcus replied. "I came here looking for work. I found a home instead." "And a family," Zara added, leaning against him. "And a family," Marcus agreed. "The best kind. The one you choose." Cale ran over, excitement bright in his golden eyes. "Marcus, there's another human kid who just arrived on the station. His name's Tommy, and he's all alone. His parents died in a transport accident. Can we help him, please?" Marcus looked at Zara, who smiled knowingly. "What do you think?" she asked. Marcus remembered his own arrival, desperate and alone. He remembered a silver-skinned widow who saw potential in a stranger. He remembered a shocking proposal that changed everything. "Yeah," he said, ruffling Cale's hair, "we can help him. That's what families do." As they headed back toward the shop, Marcus reflected on the strange journey that brought him here. He'd asked an alien widow for work, expecting rejection or at best a simple job. Instead, she'd offered him something far more valuable. A chance to matter, to belong, to be needed. She'd said she needed a father, not a worker. At the time, it had shocked him. Now he understood. She'd seen what he couldn't see in himself, that he had more to offer than just labor. He had experience, wisdom, compassion, and the capacity to love a family that wasn't his by blood, but was his by choice. The station's lights dimmed to simulate evening, and Marcus walked home with his arm around Zara, and Cale bouncing excitedly beside them, already planning how to help the new arrival. This strange, wonderful, chosen family had saved him as much as he'd saved them. In the vast darkness of space, on a forgotten station at the edge of civilization, Marcus 10 had finally found where he belonged. Not through grand adventure or heroic deeds, but through the simple act of showing up, staying put, and choosing to love when it would have been easier to walk away. He'd come looking for work. He'd found purpose. And that, he realized, made all the difference in the universe. The end.